Hello, my name's Kerry Jones. I'm the Safeguarding Coordinator at Hugh Bird College, and today I'm joined by two of the Safeguarding officers from the team, Janine Hopewell and Kelly Shannon.
Hello, my name is Janine. There'll be one or two short clips about the topics followed by a conversation in which you'll learn a little bit more.
Hello, my name is Kelly. At certain times during the session, you will be asked to pause the video and to take some notes. These will help you answer the assessment at the end of the session, so you will need a pen and paper in order to write things down.
This is a video on British values.
When you first hear the phrase British values, you might think of tea, fish and chips, or the Queen. But if you looked into it, you'd find that none of those have anything to do with it. British values are a set of principles which allow us as a country to operate in a way that accepts everyone, regardless of who they are, and without discriminating against anyone. Follow these fundamental British values, we end up with a Britain that we can be proud of. Proud of the fact that we accept everyone, regardless of faith, sexuality, gender or background. The things that make you, well, you.
So in the video, they spoke about democracy. How do we see democracy in action?
I suppose everybody is aware of outside college when we've all got freedom of speech and the right to vote. I think when we bring it in college, it's very much if you're an apprentice or a trainee, you might have attended one of our open evenings, you might have looked on the internet, you've read through course information, and then you've gone home and you've made decisions and you've made choices about what's been available to you. This has then in turn made you a student of college, and that means that you still have the same rights and access to services available to everybody, such as student services. Everybody has a right to walk in and gain services.
Does that mean apprentices and trainees have the same rights?
Yeah, so when, for example, you might be doing 1 day a week in college, or if that's what your programme suggests that you do, it could be that you can pop in on the day that you're in, or you can email us or phone us. We're always on the other side of the line.
For all students.
What about the events that you run, Janine? Can apprentices and trainees come to those events?
Absolutely. All students have the same freedoms and rights.
Oh, brilliant. So, what do British values do for society? What British values gives us is guidance on how to be positive citizens and how we can live together respectfully and harmoniously.
So the clip also told us about the rule of law. How can we see the rule of law in our everyday lives?
The rule of law in sort of a wider context is all laws and legislations across the UK that protect us. They give us an environment and a framework or a structure that we live in so we're safe and the things that we do are legal. I suppose to put that into a context within college or within your environment in which you work or you train or which you do your apprenticeship, things like your health and safety laws or your code of conduct, things like that. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, the film also talked about individual liberty, but individual liberty in the UK, how do we know that we have it?
I think when we think about things like freedom of speech, perhaps, you know, in college we've got the student council. Students can discuss and initiate changes, you know, within their student experience. They can choose the course they want to be on, they can choose the level of the course, they can choose a career for themselves and maybe one day move on into society and decide whether they want to remain in the country or move abroad. Those are all their freedoms.
And do the apprentices and the trainees again have that freedom to choose their
As
courses
any
and
other
levels?
student would have, yes.
Brilliant.
So the final British value they spoke about was tolerance and respect. So how do we see that in college?
Tolerance and respect in college and all around us is just about being accepting of people, of their differences and their similarities. It's about celebrating difference, I suppose. And in a nutshell, I would say that it's about treating others how you'd expect to be treated yourself.
And in college, of course, we've got Faith and Culture Day, which brings that all out every year.
Yeah.
That's like a celebration, I suppose, isn't it? You mean that one?
And it's the phrase that you always use as well. It's an inclusive college.
College.
It's about equality and
inclusive.
diversity as well. So, yeah.
Remember, you'll be asked questions on the end of the video, so it might be wise now to make some notes.
So how would a student who is studying or working off-site get in touch with the safeguarding team to talk through their concerns?
There are a few ways in which you can contact the safeguarding team. The first way is to pick up the phone and call 353 441 and speak to the safeguarding team on that number. You can send an email through to the safeguarding team, which is safeguarding_team@hubird.ac.uk.